So, has common sense prevailed, or is there more at work here? Yes, Arsenal have pulled out of the European Super League along with the five other Premier League clubs, but I don't believe this is the end of this at all. This is over and over and over again. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again. As you can see, I've changed the positive tag on this channel. I just don't feel as though I can be particularly positive about the club at this moment in time, certainly not with the current owners still in place. I will be carrying on with the channel and I will be doing the usual stuff, but I'm going to focus more on the history of the club as well now going forward, and all the stuff that made this club the great club that it once was and maybe isn't quite so much at the moment. Anyway, that's for later on. For now, I just really want to look at the statement made last night from Arsenal as they withdrew from the European Super League. I don't believe this was their decision. I feel it was forced on them. But anyway, we'll get into all of that. Just before we carry on, just want to make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you do enjoy what I do, please click on the subscribe button down in the corner there. It is completely free of charge. It helps the channel to reach a larger audience. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like as well. Share the content around. If you've got any comments at all to make about that statement last night, or anything else to do with this European Super League, or anything to do with Arsenal really, please drop them in the box below, as I do love to hear from you guys as well. Well, I mean, I don't quite know what that statement was all about, really. An absolute joke, if you ask me. A very poor apology, if indeed it's an apology at all. I don't think the club really care. They haven't listened to the fans. The club haven't listened to the fans for a long time, certainly since the days when we were at this beautiful stadium that's in the background behind me. So they can't try and pretend they've listened to fans now. The only reason why we've withdrawn from the European Super League was, one, because all the other English clubs did, and secondly, because of the proposed sanctions that were going to be forced on the clubs from the Premier League and from UEFA, from FIFA. So that's the only reason why they've pulled out of this. Don't let them kid you that they've listened to fans. That's made no difference whatsoever. This has always been about money, and that is what's made the decision ultimately. I don't believe this European Super League has gone away. I just believe that for the moment they've put it on hold. You've got to bear in mind, this is something that the club have been planning and has been going on behind the scenes for a number of years. They've been trying to get a European Super League up and running, and this time they pushed it through. But of course, they underestimated the power of the Premier League and UEFA and everybody else, didn't they? It doesn't mean they're not going to come back and try it again, because I'm sure they will. Now, looking back at the Arsenal statement from yesterday, there's a few things that really stuck out for me and almost made me shake my head in disbelief. Well, the first one that really struck me was when they said it was a mistake. It clearly isn't a mistake, is it? This is something that the club have been in on planning for quite a number of years. I remember David Dein speaking about a European Super League when we were still at Highbury. So, you know, this isn't a mistake that the club have just made. It almost sounds like an insincere apology from a cheating partner, doesn't it? Oh, I'm really sorry. I won't do it again. I made a mistake, when you know full well 2 weeks later they're going to go out and do exactly the same thing again. And that's what that statement just reeks of for me. Insincere and just a complete cover-up. The other thing that really stood out for me in the statement was when they said they didn't want to be left behind. Well, that's quite ironic, isn't it? When the board have created a situation where we've become left behind with really bad management of the club for the past, 15 years or more. That's the reason why we've got left behind. And if the board had done their job properly throughout all those years, we wouldn't be in a position now where we're scraping around trying to form a new league to become successful, because we cannot be successful in the competitions that we're in because of terrible management from the club for a number of years. So trying to blame it on this is just absolutely ridiculous, and it just shows how out of touch and what lack of reality this board has. It's quite obvious, isn't it, that while we've got these owners in place, the club are not going to try and be competitive in the competitions that we're in. Obvious to me that the reason why Mikel Arteta wasn't sacked in November or December when we were losing game after game and we were down in 15th place is because they knew that they were trying to get this European Super League sorted out, and it didn't matter where we finished in the league. It's interesting, isn't it, that Chelsea, for example, released a statement saying they only really got involved in this a week or so ago when they felt they had no choice with the other 5 clubs joining. And it's interesting, isn't it, that they did sack their manager when they weren't doing very well, because winning the league or being competitive is important to them as a club. With us, of course, our owners knew what was going to be coming, so they wasn't bothered about where we were in the league, and that wasn't even a consideration because they knew ultimately they would get their end goal and they would get the money from being in the European Super League regardless. And you can see this is the way this club's been run for a number of years now. They don't want us to be successful on the pitch. They're not bothered about that. As long as they're making their money, they don't really care. And the club is only going to move forward when we get rid of these owners. And is that going to happen now? I very much doubt it. This European Super League isn't going anywhere. They've just put it on the back burner. It's been on the back burner for a number of years anyway. They'll go away, they'll rethink, and I think it will come back in a different format in a little while's time, in another year or another 2 years' time, and we'll be in exactly the same situation again. I don't believe this is a victory for the fans. I don't believe this is a success. I don't believe we've won. What's happened is the European Super League and everybody behind it may have lost this particular battle, but the war certainly hasn't been won. And we've still got a long way to go if we're going to get in a situation where this is all finished completely, because I don't think it will be. We need to get these American owners in particular out of the top clubs in English football, and maybe fans need to have some sort of say in the ownership like they do in Germany. Maybe that's the way forward. But either way, we need somebody in charge of our club who cares about Arsenal and wants to take the club forward. And until we get that, we're going to be in the situation where this can happen again at any time. And we can certainly forget about ever being competitive in the Premier League. So that's my thoughts there on the club statement from yesterday. I suppose, we need to be grateful that we have withdrawn from the European Super League, even though I'm not happy at all with the circumstances of it all. And it's going to tarnish the club's reputation now, isn't it? Being one of the so-called founder members, the 6 breakaway clubs, that's going to always be tarnished on our reputation. So I don't think this has gone away by any means. I think it's going to be coming back again in the not too distant future, and we'll have to go through all this again. I believe that next time they would have planned it a lot better and it'll actually be able to go ahead. And that's my big worry. We may well be playing in the Premier League next season and things may not be that different, but how much longer are things going to stay the way that they have been? I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it can happen, and I do believe that there will be a European Super League at some point, and unfortunately I have to say I do believe this club will be at the heart of it. Stay tuned to the channel because I've got some more positive stuff coming up. Actually, I will be doing a match preview of the Everton game that will be going out tomorrow. I was going to do a watch along actually to sort of protest against the game, not watch the game, do a different show while the game was going on. But actually, the fact that Arsenal have withdrawn from the European Super League now, maybe it does mean that these games for the rest of the season are still important. So I am going to do a watch along of that as per usual on Friday. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock, isn't it? I think so. I'll probably go live about 7:45 with a bit of team news build up and a full match commentary and analysis. And then I will be at the weekend doing a look back on that game against Everton, of course, before we look forward to what now is actually an important semi-final in the Europa League, isn't it? Against Villarreal, which is next week. So I'll be doing obviously a preview of that game as well and looking ahead to all of that. So there is still some great stuff coming up. I will still be doing a lot of these match previews and match reviews as before and live watch alongs and stuff like that. But I am going to add in a lot more historical content and just focusing on the stuff that made this club great. As you can see from that fantastic building behind me, that's what Arsenal's about to me, and I'm sure that's what Arsenal's about to lots of people. It's important that nobody is allowed to forget that. So thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like what I do on this channel, please subscribe in the corner there. It is free of charge. It just helps the channel reach a bigger audience. I say stay tuned. Loads of good stuff coming up this weekend as we head towards another Premier League game. I wasn't sure if we'd be even playing this game, but we are, which is good. So we need to get behind the team. It's certainly not the players' fault, is it, or the manager. So we need to support them, but we need to make sure that the owners are very, very clear about how we feel about them, and the club are very, very clear that statement last night is not going to wash with us. It isn't, and we need to make sure that they are fully aware of that fact, and that apology, that half-hearted apology last night, is just not acceptable. So thanks for watching the channel. Stay tuned. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Give it a like, share the content around, drop your comments in the box. In the meantime, of course, as always, as we hopefully can move towards some slightly more better times and some slightly more positive things coming up over the next couple of weeks, come on you Gunners.